Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for the next part of my game of the Kelly's Heroes ambush scenario, which I'm playing through Heroes of Normandy. Apologies as always for the abrupt cut-off in my last video. I'm afraid my poor camera phone decided that the time had come to call it a night, and I had no choice but to follow suit. But at the exact moment that it cut me off, one of my support groups had opened fire on that retreating German fire group and had amazingly rolled a 6. I think that's the first 6 the Americans have rolled this scenario. And unfortunately for the Germans, because the group was already damaged, it was just enough to eliminate them. Now, the problem this gives the Germans is that the casualties in terms of counters removed are now 2-0 in favour of the United States, which means that if nothing changes, the US will get to the end of this scenario and will win by default. So the Germans are nearly there in terms of getting their men into better positions, but they now need to try and turn the tide, or at least force a draw, because they've escaped the ambush, so they're already doing better than they did in the film, but it's not going to be good enough if they want to pull a win out of this. Now, that was the last US activation, but they still have Clint, even though he's suppressed. And he is thinking, because he can just about see them, and they are in range, he is going to take a shot at that exposed German fire group over there. So, oh wait, no, actually, cancel that last German casualty because they have Thank the Helmet. Sorry, poor Germans, I keep forgetting these awesome cards that they have that I really need to make better use of. So the Germans thank the helmet and they are not eliminated, they are suppressed. And that's great because next turn they'll just be able to break for cover. Well, run for cover, really. So, yes, what to do about young Mr. Clint there? Don't really have anything that can help him. So he is just going to take his shot at them. And, yeah. Another 6. Okay, oh, poor Germans. They're not having the best of luck this turn. So they used up their thank the helmet rescuing that other unit. So Clint pours a torrent of Thompson fire into that unit and knocks them back a bit. Earns himself an activated marker. And that ends the turn. We now go to the supply phase. Now, the Germans, I think this is a bit of a no-brainer for them, really. They need to try and get their boys under some sort of cover. So, I mean, this is a bit dubious, really, but at least it's a bit of cover. Their infantry unit is going to fall carefully back into the cultivated field, and they have to stop because they've entered the zone of control of the LMG over there. This group here, now they've got choices. Let me just check the range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. It's not a great choice. I think falling back here would get the Germans into good defensive terrain, but it doesn't really help them in terms of a counter-offensive. Looking at the way the situation's developed, the weaker end of the US line is their left. And so what the Germans really want to be doing, I think, is focusing their efforts on the left, because if they do that, they can bring enough power to bear to try and lever the Americans out of that position. And if the US forces want to do anything about it, they may have to maneuver out of that nice comfy hedgerow they've got there. So let's try that for the Germans. So the recon group is going to sidestep into the hedge, and the damaged fire group is going to, like, well, actually, do you know what? Let me be a bit intelligent about this. 1, 2, 3, so that I can get everyone into cover. Oh, no, of course they can't move. Sorry, I'm forgetting rules all over the place. No, they still live, but they're suppressed, so they're not going anywhere. Okay, so that's the German supply phase movement. I think the only one the US side is going to do is that the poor wounded lieutenant over here is going to have to get to some kind of cover. Otherwise, Lieutenant Parks will be a goner. So he's just going to sidestep behind the get to the dubious safety of his recon team. Or actually, to do you know what? Actually, no. He's going to go there. It's somewhat safer because it's a bigger hedge to hide behind. And it does mean that at least the US is not in imminent danger of losing two of its order tokens. So that is it for for that part of the supply phase. The US is not really going to draw any cards because I think they're quite happy with what they've got for the moment. Excuse me. The Germans have good options too, so they're going to keep those three. And oh, okay. Could be useful. And that will be it for them. So we now proceed to turn 3. I'll just gather in all the various activated markers. The two affected units lose their suppression markers. And let's see what we can see. So the initiative has passed back to the United States. So they're still at the point where they've eliminated one German unit, but that's not enough to bag them a win in this scenario. So they're going to have to think quite carefully about how they're going to do this. Ideally, they want to kill off a German unit so that they can then just hunker down and basically not worry about anything. So, but how to do this in the best way? They know they're going to go first, and they have a strong suspicion that their isolated 30 cal group isn't going to live much longer. So these guys are going to go out in a blaze of glory. And they only have the 3 order tokens, so they're going to have to think very hard about this. I think it's a bit of a tough trade-off, actually, because do I actually want to do that, or do I want to take a chance that these guys will be able to kill off that German unit? Because that could potentially win the US side the game. Oh, let's take a chance on it. We'll have that support team target them. With many apologies to the poor 30 cal guys, but we'll give them the next best opportunity. And actually, I've just realized that fire team there is exposed and in a lot of danger. So we probably want to bring some fire to bear between them and Clint on the MG42 that's in cover over there. So that's what the US is going to do. The Germans, for their part, I think if I was them, I would be in a hurry to eliminate the guys who are down here, but equally I'd want them to get to safety. So it's a bit hard to know what to do. Should the Germans be aggressive? Okay, the Germans are going to take a chance because they strongly suspect in a 2-player game that the first move the US would make would be to fire at those guys. So whatever happens, they're going to get shot at because the US have the initiative this turn. So they're going to leave them. What they are going to do is they're going to take a risk here. They're going to prime that infantry unit for an assault. And following that, they are going to cause absolute mayhem with their heavy machine gun units as part of the softening up process. So that's it. I think we're... Excuse me. Sorry, everyone. Got up with a bit of a frog in my throat today. So we're going to go for it. The US are going to go first, and that support team is going to open fire. Let's hope the US luck is going to hold. Oh no! Arg! That was a terrible shot. The Germans breathe a huge sigh of relief, and the support team has just fluffed that one. Darn it. So over to the Germans. Now, as I say, that fire group that they're using to assault my machine gun unit is already damaged, so they don't want to take any chances. They are going to play Battle Rage to ensure that they get a good roll for this assault. And they have the assault capability, so they can roll 2 dice and pick the higher one, the higher roll. And my poor machine gunners who don't have the assault capability get no such option. So the Germans get a total of +2, 2 for the Battle Rage card and 3 for their combat capability. I get a +3, but there's no other defensive bonus in the field. So, I do get a +3 for my combat rating. So here's hoping. Oh, goodness. So the Germans rolled quite low there. So I get a 7 and they get a 5. Ah, that might have just cost them a unit, except that they're going to play fall back because they lost the assault. So they take no damage, but they must immediately retreat 2 spaces. That's a bit awkward for them, though. Okay. Because there's nowhere really for them to retreat. And unfortunately, what it means is to get 2 spaces away from that unit, they've got to go tumbling back out of the hedgerow. Sorry, not the hedgerow, the farm, the field. And not only are they back in the horrible position they were in, but they're now suppressed on top of it. That is a shame for the Germans. That was a good plan. It should have worked. It was very unfortunate that it didn't. So back to the US side, it's now the machine gunners' turn. And of the various targets in their field of view, the easiest one to attack and eliminate is the recon group right in front of them. So they're going to open fire straight at the German recon group. And they get a +2 because of the reduced visibility. For no dice, the German recon group isn't affected by their fire. So for the Germans, what to do? I think the best option they have at the moment is to make use of that MG42 because it has a good line of sight to the exposed US fire team over there. Plus, if they can knock it out or severely damage it before it gets to activate, then that's a bit of a bonus for them. So they're going to open fire. They get +4, which is nasty. And the universe and fate owes the Germans a high dice roll. Oh dear, but they're not getting it. 5. Still, though, it's enough. So the fire team takes some losses. Hitler's sword does not disappoint. Ouch. But aside from the fact that they've lost a few men, they are still very much in this. And it is their turn, so... So I really want to take a risk and knock off some German units if I can, but equally I don't want to expose any US units to being destroyed because that won't really help me. So I think what might have to happen is, in the interest of not... I was going to shoot with these fellows, but I think they're a bit too badly damaged for that. I mean, they can... Oh, they can't see them. They're obscured. Okay, that's made my mind up. They are going to withdraw. They're going to withdraw over there. So I just need to get my damaged guys out of the line of German fire. It has weakened my position a bit, but I've still got my eye on trying to win this thing. And I know I got lucky this turn. I'm probably going to lose that unit over there. But at the moment, the Germans will leave them alone because they have worthier targets elsewhere. So the MG42 unit here is just wondering who the best lot to target is. They can see them. Despite the defensive bonus of the hedgerow, it might be worth them chipping away at my fire team. So that is what that MG42 is going to do. It's going to start pumping lead at my fire team, aiming to kill rather than suppress. So they need to hit, they need a 6 or better, and they get a +4. It's good odds. Yep, they hit us, so machine gun bullets go tearing through the hedgerow and start chopping up my fire team. And that just leaves Clint. Now, thankfully he isn't suppressed or anything. It is well worth him taking a shot at either that unit or that unit. It doesn't particularly matter which at this moment. I'll say just because they're a bit closer, I'll take a shot at those guys over there. Come on, Clint. Oh no, and he rolls a 1, so that was absolutely pitiful. Clint is really off his game at the moment. So we get to the supply phase. So what am I going to do? I don't really have any movement orders, to be honest. Oh, actually, yes, I do. I let the Germans do this a turn ago, so I'm going to let the Americans do it this time. Play a card after I should have played it. So during the activation turn, the US would have played ready and removed the order token from the 30 cal. And so during the supply phase, I would have allowed them to play speed setup as well, if I'd remembered. Sorry, guys, I often forget to do this. So speed setup to pick up their gun and then go 1-2 to get into the hedgerow. So they can't now set up again because they've already done their switch over. Actually, no, let me not waste that, because I can save that for next turn and they can set up and then fire. So no, all they've done is they've picked up their gun and they've backed off to the greater safety afforded by the hedges there, because that way I don't lose them. Nobody else on the US side will move, because to be honest, there's not a lot of reason for us to move, and there's not a lot of safe place outside of our hedgerows anyway. So the US will leave it at that. The Germans are not unnaturally going to fall straight back. That unit is stuck there because they're suppressed. But these guys hopefully have got themselves a bit of distance and cover now, and next turn they'll be in the safety of the hedges. So that's it. So I'll gather these back in. And that German unit can lose its suppressed marker as well. Okay, card draw. The US will still keep all of these. Ah, that could be useful, although hopefully we won't suffer any losses. The Germans don't... The Germans are undecided about whether they will need 2 all-terrain cards. It might be worth it because they're hoping if things go a bit better, they're going to get to do some extra manoeuvring this turn. So they'll just draw 2. Second chance is always welcome. And, Bullet Storm, where were you earlier in the game? So we now come to the final turn of the game, and the initiative has passed to the Germans. So, tricky questions. Those are all activation phase cards. But what are the Germans going to do? Now, unfortunately for them, what should have been an easy kill with the 30 cal has now slipped through their fingers and is, if anything, a bit of a threat. I wonder if it's something they should try and deal with. I think they can, actually. It's taking another risk, but at this stage in the game, they've... or should they take risks? Because even if they kill off that US unit, all they'll do is force a draw. And it may not be worth it at this stage. It might be more satisfying just to make the ambush fail by default. Because, of course, in the film, the entire German unit was wiped out. If the Germans manage to survive to the end of the scenario and prevent the US from winning, that's not a bad afternoon's work. So, thinking about this, maybe the best option to begin with is to prioritize getting that damaged unit to safety. And the next best, just to be on the safe side, doing something with them. And what about offensive action? We, excuse me, we will want to do some offensive action. I think it might be worth using that MG42 to keep the pressure up on the US forces. Especially with the Bullet Storm card. That is a nice card. So, okay, that's what the Germans will pursue this turn. What about the US? Now, it's looking a lot harder than it was earlier in the game. And the US does have fewer options. I think we've definitely got to do something with the 30 caliber guys. Because although they're much safer than they were a short while ago, it seems a shame to leave them hanging there. But what to do with everyone else? I'll have to make my mind up about whether this is a good idea, but it's probably worth having the two support teams try and suppress or drive off that MG42. There's a lot of targets in this area, and the beauty is they can make their minds up when their turn comes round. And they have suppression fire capability, so, you know, it won't achieve anything in game terms, but I have choices. So let's see how that runs. And also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that German recon group, and indeed the Oberleutnant, are in range. They're just hidden beneath some agriculture. So, okay, I think the US is happy with that. It's the final turn. If we can drag a win out of this by destroying one more German unit, then great, but otherwise we'll see. So the Germans go first, and unsurprisingly, they are going to get their guys. I think that's a good compromise for a location, because it's far away enough from our machine gun unit that they get a couple of defensive modifiers, and as far as everyone else is concerned, they're still concealed. So not ideal, but it will have to do. So over to the US. My first support team is... Oh, no. You guys are number 2. My 30 cal guys are going to play speed setup so that it doesn't count as movement. And they are then... Now they've moved, so they're a bit less of a threat. But they don't have orders tokens. They're in a bit of a target-rich environment here. It might be quite satisfying just to try and eliminate... Oh, let's go for the German fire group because they have an assault capability, which makes them slightly more dangerous. So, yeah, we're going to do that. We are going to open fire on the group that just moved into the agriculture bit. So we get a +3. but the bonus is taken away because of all the vegetation in front of us. So here we go. Oh no, the US have been getting so many ones. So, okay, that achieved absolutely nothing except to slightly scare the Germans. Um, Now, the question for the Germans is, do they want to try assaulting that unit with this group? It's actually... It may not be worth it, actually, because that's very good defensive terrain and they're not suppressed in any way. So the Germans are going to be careful about this. They're just going to tuck that unit under the protective cover of the hedge and leave them there for now. So back to the US. Okay, it's no longer as target-rich an environment as it was. Out of all the targets the support team can see, and they are in easy range, they're going to try and go for the German recon group. So they get a +2 to their roll, but they have to get a 6 or better. Let's see how we do. Ah, no. Oh, wait, hang on. They get a +2, so that's 7. Oh, and they did get a 6 or better. Excellent. Sorry, my maths is terrible this morning. The Germans are not liking this at all, so they're going to play their second chance and demand a reroll, quite rightly. Oh no, but luck is still with the United States, and that is a second German unit gone. So the pressure is really on the Germans now, but I don't really see how they can win this scenario because the US hasn't actually lost any counters yet, and even if they eliminate a US counter this turn, their casualties are still double. So I think there actually is no way they can win this. All they can do is take a vindictive shot and hope they achieve something. So in keeping with the original German plan, the MG42 team there is going to try and clear the US recon team out of its little position there. And they get a 6. Okay, that is I would say that is a... oh, actually, no. The US is going to grin and bear it. So they thank the helmet in turn. And they get a suppressed marker instead. So the poor Germans are denied even that satisfaction. They didn't wipe out the recon team. So, yes, that is the end of the German turn. And just because they want to. The last Allied support team has a bit of a choice. Are they going to try and take out Oberleutnant Hauser or the MG42? It's an interesting choice because obviously he's important for generating orders. But that's a very powerful piece of equipment with a rather stupid amount of firepower. I wonder what would... Oh, let's go for the machine gun. There's that old saying that you, as a foot soldier, you regard officers as fairly harmless personages, but if there's a crew with a medium machine gun, that's far more deadly. So they're going to try and get the MG42. So +2 to their roll, and they need a 7 or better in total. Oh dear, those famous ones have come back to haunt the US. So no, lots of crazy random wildfiring in true Hollywood style, but no casualties among that German machine gun crew. So now that just leaves Clint, and I think he may as well just plink at whatever he can see. Everyone's under equal amounts of cover. And just because he can see the poor recon team being suppressed by the MG42 on the American left, he's going to try and take a shot at them. What are the odds he gets a 1? Oh, not bad. A 6. But unfortunately, it's not good enough because of the cover the machine gun crew is in. I also just realised I completely forgot to play Bulletstorm for the Germans. I would have played it on that MG42. I would have done retrospectively, but of course the Germans had no idea that the US had Thank the Helmet in hand. So that would have stopped it anyway. It's a bit of a pity. So that is it for the active turns. It is the final turn of the game. I'll just, for form's sake, give Clint his activated marker. So we have the supply phase, but there's really no point anyone maneuvering because that was it as far as active turns and taking shots goes. So I am going to call the game there then because there's no objectives to be seized. The objective was just to eliminate enemy units. So the US side has won. Like I say, I still need to work on how fair these victory conditions are and maybe playtest this a few times. But it was good. It was nice and close. Until that group was lost, it was not certain that the battle was going to go the US way, but they've just managed to scrape a win. As I say, compare this performance with the film where the German patrol is completely wiped out in return for only 2 US casualties. I would say the German performance here has been quite creditable. Thinking back on it, I think I did play the US side a bit better than I played the German side. So unfortunately, the poor Germans were affected by my appalling leadership as well. I'll call it unconscious bias and just move on. But I hope you all found that scenario interesting. I will continue to refine it, and I will continue to think about how I can adapt the other battles from Kelly's Heroes to Heroes of Normandy, because it's a system that owes, I mean, really, in terms of its chrome, so much to that film. It would be a shame not to. I really want to drive Oddball round in a scenario where he's being chased by, 3 or possibly 2 or maybe just 1 tiger, depending on how brave I'm feeling. But it will take a lot of thought to approach anything that can recreate the situation in the film. It might just have to be a different battle with the same characters. But anyway, we will see. I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos as much as I've enjoyed making them. It is always, always a huge pleasure to have Heroes of Normandy and its various spin-offs out on the gaming table, and I'm so glad that I was able to squeeze this one in before the Christmas break. So it just remains to say a huge thank you for your company. I really appreciate you guys tagging along, watching these things. Comments, etc. are always more than welcome. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able to. And any observations are appreciated, good, bad. Andrew, your generalship is terrible. Or, oh, Andrew, that was really funny. Loved that. So all is welcome, as I say. And to my veterans who have stuck with me all this time, a very, very warm hello to you. It's great to see you guys again. Always lovely to hear from you. And a very Merry Christmas, because this is the last video I will be uploading before Christmas 2023 rolls over us. To anyone who might be visiting my channel for the first time, you are more than welcome. If it's Heroes of Normandy that brought you here, then please do check out some of the other videos I've done. Some of them are pretty hilarious, particularly the ones where I get rules spectacularly wrong, but hey-ho. If it's wargaming in general, please do have a wander around, see what you like. But you're more than welcome, and as I say, it'll be great to see you again in the future if you decide to stick around. And to you too, and indeed all of you, wherever you're watching from, and where, whether you celebrate Christmas or you're just looking forward to the holidays, I wish you all the compliments of the season. Have a really great time, whatever you're doing. And I will look forward to seeing you all in 2024. Take care. Bye.